Hi, Jenni here, and I started knitting this year. Why now? What inspired me? Well, I love Eliana, a Palestinian pop singer, and all of her stage costumes are designed by her sister Tali, designed and made. They were these beautiful, beautiful outfits that incorporated Palestinian embroidery and very beautiful handiwork. And I was just inspired and I thought I would like to be able to make clothes myself. And then I thought, well, I do know how to knit. I've learned the basics of knitting at school. I surely still know how to do that, so should I start? Where should I start? And I decided I want to make a skirt. I want to make a skirt that I can actually wear and I can make my own clothing. I know the basics only, so I was a bit wary if I can make a whole skirt. But then I thought, my mom, my grandma, my great-grandmother and so on all sewed and knit their own clothes and clothes for their children. I thought, I must have some talent in my genes as well. I was also hesitant because it has always been my sister who has seen as the one who is talented with this kind of textile work. But I thought that, I am allowed to knit too. And my sister has made me several clothes and I'm really thankful for that. And that's why I wanted to attempt to make myself some clothes as well. Okay, so I started knitting during the spring again when I was unemployed and I had a broken rib and I didn't have much else to do. My first attempt failed. You see, I was trying to use these kind of rounded sticks. I have them, but I can't quite reach them right now. And then it got all... My first attempt failed, let's just say that. And I'm thankful that my mom stopped me early on because I had knit for quite a while. So my mom helped me with my second attempt and what we decided was that I would just knit 2 halves of a skirt and then we would sew them together and put an elastic band on the waist. And that's how I did. I started knitting end of May and I finished the skirt in July. At first, of course, I was so scared that I was either knitting too loosely or if it would be really uneven. But eventually I really enjoyed it and I was so happy that knitting was yet another way for me to avoid scrolling and brain rotting on social media. My first skirt is here. I decided to go with green because it's a really natural color. I have green eyes, it would fit those. I really like this. It's very warm so I couldn't wear it during the summer, but for autumn it was very fitting. I have worn this skirt for a couple of times. I even wore it to work. And yes, it's a really lovely skirt to wear. So I was really happy with my first skirt and how it turned out. And obviously my mom helped quite a lot with that skirt and I'm really happy that she could. And then I started knitting my second skirt right away. I did it the same way as I did the first one. So I knit 2 halves and then sewed them together. This one I wanted to be really long, like my way beyond my knees long. And I did that. After I finished the first half, which ended up being the back half, I decided that I wanted to try making stripes. I wanted there to be other color. I did that successfully, I think. You can probably see where I changed the yarn, but I don't think it's that visible. And I tried to do it so that it would not be right there in the middle. So I started knitting this skirt end of July and I finished it maybe end of October. I was knitting while working. I mean, not while I was at work, but while I still had a job. I don't anymore. And I think it was a great way to relax after work and again avoid the brain rot moments on the couch. And I really liked listening to the podcast Do We Know Them while knitting. So this is how it ended up looking. I ended up making 3 of these striped sections. I think they look really nice together. The elastic here is a bit loose, so I need to fix that at some point. And I think my knitting is much more consistent in this skirt than the first one. And again, I just really enjoyed making this one. It's also very warm, so it's perfect for the cold Finnish winter. Then as work got more and more hectic and days got longer, I just wanted to continue knitting, but I didn't want to start like a huge project like these skirts are. So I decided to knit some headbands. I don't know the what to call these in English. I didn't remember to check, but this is how they look. This is a bit too loose for me. It could have been a bit tighter, but yeah, these took like a few days to make, maybe a week. They're really nice, and I have worn this outside a couple of times and it does the job. It keeps me warm. Since these are very quick and easy to make and they look cute, I have made some of these as Christmas presents as well. Alright, so what is my current project? Well, I decided that I want to make a bag. I'm trying to make it as wide as I can. I want it to be big enough to hold my books, for example. So this is where I'm at currently. I need to buy more yarn for this project, but I'm really happy where it's begun. So I learned the basics of knitting at school. At school I knit woolly socks and mittens, if I remember correctly. But I am left-handed. Why am I knitting right-handed way, you might think? Well, at school, when I was like 9 or 10, I had this teacher and teaching assistant who basically forced me to learn how to knit the right-handed way because the teacher didn't know how to teach it the left-handed way. And I just couldn't quite understand it with my brain because my brain was used to thinking it the left-handed way. So whenever a teaching assistant would show me how to knit the right-handed way, I would always ruin it somehow, and then the teaching assistant got very frustrated with me. So in the end, one other kid in the class who was left-handed but knew how to knit the right-handed way taught me because the teaching assistant got frustrated with me. So that was also why I was so hesitant about starting knitting again, because I have this memory attached to knitting. But I am glad I have found this love for knitting as an adult. Okay, so this is something completely different from what I've talked about on this channel. I did make a video discussing my hobbies during the autumn, and I mentioned knitting there, but I wanted to make its own dedicated video on knitting since it's become such a huge part of my life. I don't think I ever intend on moving on from my basic skills because they are already good enough and they take me quite far when it comes to knitting. I have seen some beautiful sweaters that people have knit, but I cannot do it. So what are the benefits of knitting? Well, obviously less screen time, less scrolling, creating something on my own, making my own clothes. It feels so amazing. And it's just a great way to spend your time and be creative. Let your imagination run wild. What about some downsides? Well, yarn can be quite expensive at times. For my longest skirt, I think the yarn cost like in total 30 euros, which is quite a lot. However, I am really happy that I'm knitting. Okay, what about you? What are some hobbies that you have gained recently? Do you knit? Do you like knitting? Do you crochet? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to hear my thoughts on my favorite books and what I'm currently reading, follow my Bookstagram account, jenskosmos, on Instagram, of course. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!